And I've seen people go through a couple of attorneys. They start with a big name and they wind up with a smaller name, maybe a boxer type of an attorney, because they need someone who can do the job, but they've ran out of budget. And that's a big problem. So don't confuse a big name with a big threat. Welcome back to Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind. I'm Corey Shapiro. We're concluding our 4-part series on divorce attorney styles. And it's important you know this because you need to get educated. You know, an educated consumer is the best consumer. So you see the name on the paperwork. You know, the pleading you get, maybe a letter you get. You ask around. Turns out this attorney is really well known. You also see in your joint account how much money was withdrawn. You're like, wow, that's a big retainer. Do I need to step up and get a top dog? Someone who has a big reputation, nice offices, full staff, polished websites? Are you thinking I'm going to get steamrolled? Hey, let me tell you something. Reputation doesn't always equal results. Sometimes you're fighting the idea of the top dog, but not the top dog themselves. Because unless your case interests the top dog, you're going to be put into a machine with their associates or junior partners and not the top dog themselves. Sort of like a master sculpturist, and they have all these people working for them, like Jeff Koons. Listen, do all the sculptures. That's what's going to happen probably with a top dog, unless you're ultra wealthy and unless your case really merits it. So if you're 2 billionaires, that's probably 2 top dogs. And let me tell you, I'll get to what you have to tell these top dogs. They're probably going to do it anyway if you're in that type of case, because there's more than enough money to go around. It's only when there's scarcity is there is a problem. So remember, we got 3 big styles we've been talking about. We talk about the swarmer. They blow up everything. They're just all about noise. We're dealing with the brawler. That's one issue going at you. Boom, boom. It's like one issue all the time. That's what they're doing. Can you stop? No, I'm not going to stop. That's what they're going to say. The idea is, and the boxer is a little different. They're trying to be efficient. They're going to push mediation. They're going to push collaborative divorce. They're going to hope you can resolve your case without spending so much time, money, and energy. Now, a top dog can do that too. Top dog can be sensible. If you have 2 top dogs again, they can be sensible, resolve your case. The issue is where you have a client who's unreasonable, hires a top dog to do their bidding. Now you got some problems, especially if you don't want to spend years in litigation and over $1 million in attorney fees. That's a problem. If you want to be efficient, got to be careful with these top dogs. And where things go sideways is the billing. You know, they're not missionaries. They're mercenaries. And as long as the hourly billing is flowing, they're working. So that's what the top dog is all about, unless you can, muzzle them a little bit and give them some direction. And if you have 2 top dogs, again, who with 2 reasonable clients, I think things can work out well. But that's not the reason most people hire a top dog, is it? Just like I don't think people who buy fancy cars are always really are the market for the fancy cars. They maybe lease it, they maybe are overextended. No. So that's what you have to be careful about. So here's my power line. Don't confuse a big name with a big threat. When you see this name and you're not really in the market for that type of an attorney because you don't have that type of marital estate, you got to outsmart them. I've seen people come to attorneys, very easy to change counsel in attorneys. And I've seen people go through a couple of attorneys. They start with a big name and they wind up with a smaller name, maybe a boxer type of an attorney, because they need someone who can do the job, but they've ran out of budget. And that's a big problem. So don't confuse a big name with a big threat. What's your next steps? If you're with an attorney and the other side has a top dog and you don't have a high net worth estate, ask your attorney, have you gone up against someone like this or other top dogs? How do you deal with them? My experience, what I see is once you get a reputation, you can be very reasonable and settle with a top dog if you've taken reasonable positions. If you're taking unreasonable positions, you probably want maybe a swarmer or a brawler if you got something strong, because the boxer is going to probably lead you to mediation or some type of settlement. Remember, when you go to court and you're not ultra wealthy and you have reasonable attorneys, the judge is going to push you in most cases to mediation. Okay. So here's how this actually works. You go from mediation to settlement. But if you say, I'm not going to mediation, or mediation failed, you go to the judge says, go back to mediation. They want you really to try that. And maybe with the court given that pressure, people can be more reasonable. Just 1% more reasonable. Can it be 1% more reasonable? So again, don't confuse a big name with a big threat. Even if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. I do. I'm Corey Shapiro. I'm here to help you stop reacting, start thinking, and fight back smarter.
Thank you for tuning in to the Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind podcast with divorce coach Corey Shapiro. This podcast offers general information only. It cannot replace legal advice. If you need tailored advice, contact an attorney licensed to practice in your area